Great to meet you, sir. Sean.
Hi, I'm Tim.
Hi, Tim.
Nice to meet you.
Christina.
Hi, Christina.
Hi.
Good morning. I had a realization when I was about 14 that I was living a life that was somebody else's idea. And I don't think I could have said it then, but that's what it was. I literally went through a big change, and by the time it came time to go to college, I barely wanted to go to college. I was, the society back then was really burning up. The war in Vietnam and the civil rights movement and all of that was really affecting things. And what I saw is that mainstream society was empty. And I thought I wasn't interested. My parents had enough strength and control over my life that they got me into college and had to work pretty hard to keep me there. So they managed to keep me in school, but I was free after that. So we kind of made a bargain. It's like I'd finished my education, and then I was free to do whatever I wanted. And I found this little town in Northern California that I said, good, I'll stay here. And ended up at a little Zen Buddhist community. It was the most gorgeous place I'd ever seen. But they gave me a book, and I read it the first night I was there, and I was kind of nodding my head. Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I'm doing. So I stayed. I say my father got frustrated rolling up an extension cord. He didn't have much of a relationship with the physical world, so I had never really learned to do anything like that. So I decided I was going to try something completely different. So I became a carpenter. And I don't think I'd ever really even used a hammer in my life. I ended up moving off of the Zen Buddhist farm onto another commune with my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife. People had been telling me, you'd make a good psychotherapist, you'd make a good psychotherapist. I knew then what I wanted to do was I wanted to, in a sense, bring Buddhism out of the Zen centers into the regular world. And I figured by being a therapist, I could work with people using Buddhist principles. So as a psychotherapist and really as a Zen teacher, I kind of looked to see how it is that our craziness gets formed. We develop so much by the influences of things that happen to us. And people don't realize that they keep repeating the same thing over and over again. People might have nice ideas. You should be a lawyer, you should be a doctor. Being a lawyer or a doctor is an idea. Every day getting up and having to do what it actually means to be a lawyer or a doctor or a Zen teacher or a therapist or a carpenter or whatever you choose, that's the reality of your situation. Life isn't an image. It's actually the doing of it. And if you don't, again, I'm not talking about being happy all the time. You're not going to want to go to work some days. That's the way it is. But if ultimately it doesn't feel like it connects to who you are and what you should be doing, you're the one who has to live it.
This type of thing, do you really think that it's important you have a teacher or something that you can ask for confirmation that you're doing something right or that you're...
I think it's helpful to have a teacher. Not so much to ask for confirmation that you're doing it right, but it's helpful to have a mirror, somebody who's reflecting back to you who you are and what you do. I had a teacher. Yes, he taught me a lot intellectually, but I think the main thing I got out of being with him is every time I'd be with him, life would get a little bit absurd, almost surrealistic, and I'd be laughing all the time. And there was such a lightness and recognition that the conventional view of things isn't necessarily the way things are. And I think for me that was the biggest help. Confirmation that there's something else going on. In Zen we talk a lot about keeping a not knowing mind. And everybody, usually conventionally, we think we're supposed to know things. So we fake it. If you ask me a question, I'm going to answer you because, hey, you guys are all set up here with all these cameras. I better know something. But honestly, I don't really know all that much. Clearly I've learned something about Buddhism and therapy, and I can tell you those things. But the biggest wisdom really comes from not knowing. Because if you admit you don't know, then you're willing to look. One teacher said, a beginner's mind is open and you're really, you're really ready to listen. But an expert's mind is closed, because I already know, so I don't have to listen to you.
Yeah.
But that usually is when hubris forms and you really fall flat on your face. I say to people a lot, the greatest gift you give to the world is when you discover who you are and you manifest that. Take time to learn how your mind works. I think the biggest discovery I made was that my mind wasn't what I thought it was. That to become familiar with how my thinking actually operates, thinking and feeling, not just thinking, but how thinking and feeling operate and how I react to the things that I think and feel. The more you become familiar with that, the less of a slave you'll be to it.
Will you read it for us?
Yes, it says, don't forget to not know. Jeff Kitz's Zen Master Bon Soeng. Farewell, drive safe. Remember, you got time. Even though people are going to tell you you don't, you do. And you don't have to have it all figured out right now. It's impossible, really, so relax.